How to vote. So we're continuing our conversation about voting. Remember, voting is one of our rights as American citizens, and a big focus of civics is learning about our rights, and not only what they are and why they're important, but actually how to implement or use those rights is important as well. So we don't always just learn about what a right is, we also try and learn about how we can actually use that right. So this lesson is going to focus on how you can actually vote. Like if you actually want to use your right to vote, what do you do? What's the process? When do you vote? How do you register to do it? Do you need to bring anything with you? That's what this topic's going to be about. So our objective is to describe the process of voting and who is included in the enfranchised population. Enfranchised means who can vote, basically. We're going to evaluate the process of voting and its value in choosing effective candidates. So we're going to look at how you vote, the whole process, and we're going to try and figure out if the process is good, if it's bad, or maybe it just needs some fixing. Our essential questions are: how does one vote? So how do you vote? And is voting an effective method of choosing representatives? Why or why not? So what's your opinion on the process? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it needs changes? It'll be up to you. So let's start out with who can vote in this country. As you know from a previous lesson, it hasn't always been like this. Used to be really, really tough or illegal for a lot of different people in the United States to vote. But today, we have what you see up on the screen. If you're 18 years old, you're a resident of the state that you're voting in. So if you're from Pennsylvania, you got to live in Pennsylvania. You got to be a citizen of the United States, and you got to be registered to vote. Those are the four things, and they're pretty easy. To register to vote, one, you just have to fill out a form, and we're going to show that to you guys in one of the assignments. But the rest is pretty much just happens naturally. You become 18 one day, the state that you live in is where you vote, and if you were born here or you became an American citizen, you can vote as well. So those are the qualifications, the things that you need to be able to vote. Actually pretty simple. So what happens when you register? So you're going to register and you're going to fill out this form. It's not long, it's like a page long. It just asks you about your name and your address and your age and stuff like that. So you fill it out, send it in, and then eventually before the election you'll get a little card back in the mail. And it looks different depending on where you're from. You'll see an example in the assignment. But this is an example, just the one that you see up on the screen. It just has the person's name, their address, and where they go to vote. They call that the polling place. So that's something you can use when you go to the polling place to show that you are you, and that's where you should be voting. So who votes? Who are the people that vote? We went over that a little bit before, but people are eligible to vote are called the electorate. So if you're a person that can vote, if you're allowed to vote, so you're 18, you're a resident of your state, you're a U.S. citizen, and you're registered to vote, you're part of the electorate. How can voting rights be denied? There's actually some people that cannot vote that have gotten that right taken away. If you're an inmate in a mental hospital, if you've been convicted of a felony, or you don't meet the residency requirements of the state, like you haven't lived there long enough, you won't be able to vote. When does this happen? It happens in November. It's the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. And so when you go, who are you going to be voting for? It could be a variety of people. You're either going to be voting for the President of the United States, the Governor of your state, Senator of your state, representatives from your state, or you're going to be voting for state stuff like state senators and state representatives, or you might be voting for like a local official, like a mayor, for example. So it's going to be one ballot or one like piece of paper that has everyone's name on it. You're going to be voting for a lot of different stuff. It's not just like when you go there, it's not like you're just voting for the president. There's other stuff you vote for as well. Now there's elections every 2 years. We call them midterm elections because they're like in the middle of a presidential term. And in that one, you don't vote for president because the president gets to be in for 4 years. And a lot of people don't go to that one because the president's not running for office, so a lot of people don't think it's as important. When actually it's a lot more important because the governor of your state probably actually has a lot more impact on your life than a president does, believe it or not. So when you want to vote, you're going to go to the polling place in your precinct. So it's pretty close to your house usually. Like mine, I can literally see from my house. I just got to walk down my alley. It's a school like right at the end of my alley. And when I voted back in November, that's what I did. I walked out my back door, walked down the alley, voted, and came back. And I was done in like 10 minutes round trip. So you go to your polling place. That's where you vote. Yours might be a town hall or a fire station. It's usually a school. And the precinct is just your voting district determined by your address. Usually it's pretty close to your house, usually within walking distance. So what happens when you get there? You're going to show your little ID card, and it says who you are and that you're able to vote. And then usually go into some kind of like secluded area where people can't see you, or at least they can't see like if you're what you're writing or who you're voting for. And they give you a ballot. The ballot has the list of all the candidates, and then on the ballot you decide who you want to vote for. If you actually can't get to the polls, there's a way that you can vote. It's called an absentee ballot, and it's something you can use to actually mail in. Not everybody gets that, but people who are sick, out of town, or in the military have the option of that. So what do you do, like when you actually are at the place and you have that ballot that has all the list? How do you pick who you want? Well, you can get there as early as 5 a.m. Most people don't, and it stays open usually till like 8 or 9 o'clock. Usually it's like 7 to 7, but it's a good chunk of the day that it's open, but it is only one day. So when you get there, the place that you're voting at, they get to pick like how you vote. So it might be a mechanical machine where you literally like pull levers. So you would like pull the lever next to, if you wanted to vote for Barack Obama, you'd pull the lever next to his name. There's electronic voting, which means like you just press buttons, or it's like a touch screen, like a phone. Or it can be, some places still use paper ballots where you literally write it out, or it'll have like a little spot for a hole, and you would punch the hole next to the person's name that you want to vote for. There's all different ways. Usually you're probably going to see the electronic voting. That's starting to become the thing that people use the most. So then you leave, you're done, you voted. What happens to your vote? Election voters are going to stay there, and they're going to count the votes after the polls close. And they're going to report that. The ballots and everything that you voted for are taken to an election board, which is a group of people that count all the votes again, so they're counted twice at that point. And then the news is constantly trying to figure out who won and predicting it based on things called exit polls. So your votes are counted, and they're counted by a variety of people to make sure that there's not voter fraud or somebody's not cheating in the counting process. So why should you do this? A lot of people don't do it. A lot of people don't go out and vote. Why should you? The right to vote is considered to be our greatest freedom. It's the way that we get to pick the people that are in charge of us, essentially, the people that are making decisions for us. So if we don't like something about the government, this is the best impact we can have. If somebody does something and we don't like it, we cannot vote for them. We can vote for somebody else and try and get that person out of office. Or if there's somebody that we really like and we want them to be in office so they can change things for the better that we want changed, we can vote for them as well. That's why it's such a great thing. But a lot of people don't do it. Some other things. You get to decide. It's your voice. You actually have a say on the country and how things are. It's your right, too. I mean, like you learned about in some of the previous lessons, not everyone's always had the right to vote. A lot of people have died trying to win the right to vote. So it's something that probably shouldn't be taken for granted. And it's the way that you get to pick your representation. If you don't vote, you're not having a say in the people who represent you. A lot of people say, well, my vote doesn't count. The election, there's so many people voting, my vote's only one vote. There's been a lot of elections, actually, that were really close, like under 10 votes. But the thing is, when millions of people have that mindset of my vote doesn't count and they don't go vote, imagine that. Imagine if those million people did vote. The election might change. So, is one vote going to change an election? Probably not. But a million votes? 5 million votes, that's certainly going to change things. So if more people vote it, elections might turn out differently. A lot of people just vote for the president. Like we said earlier, state law, stuff that happens just within your state or within your town, they usually affect you a lot more directly. So it's kind of more important to vote in those ones because those are the people that are going to have a direct effect on your daily life. How do you decide who to vote for? We're going to do that a little bit more in the next topic, but just a preview of it. You should think about what the candidate stands for, their opinions. Do you think the candidate is reliable and honest? Do you think the candidate's going to be good? Do they have like relevant experience? Have they worked in government before? Do you think they're going to be good at what they do? And do you think they're actually going to have a chance of winning? Some people don't vote for people just because they think they're not going to win. So we walked through the process, and the assignment, you're going to go through the process yourself. You're going to look at the actual form you need to fill out and some other things to actually go through the process and see exactly what it's like. Make sure you join us for a live class on Tuesday and Thursday. If you have any questions or need help, please contact me. The information's there. If not, good luck.